Hey, what's up, Street Talks? Eric from the Eric from Street Photography blog. So, I just want to give you a quick hands-on review of the older Leica M240. So, for those of you guys who have never really shot with a Leica before, the thing that's unique about shooting with a rangefinder is the fact that all the focusing is fully manual. And when you're shooting through it, you look through this little rangefinder patch here. So, the way you turn on this camera is in the front of the camera. You'll hit this little dial up here, turn it on, cool. And to make the pictures, you look through this little viewfinder here. So you can see the unique thing with the rangefinder is that you see the little patch on the outside, and the cool thing with the new Leica or the older Leica M240, you could actually change the edges to make it red. Here I'm borrowing my friend Martin's 50mm 1.4 Summon Lux lens, and you can see the frame lines. Generally, if you're shooting with glasses, if you shoot with a 50mm lens, you can see a little bit of space around the edges, but if you're shooting with a 35mm, it goes all the way to edges. Generally, in terms of this, the best settings I recommend to shoot with the Leica, any digital Leica, is just to keep it on automatic. And when you're shooting with it, just manually adjust the aperture. And in terms of using the ISO, I'd actually recommend keeping the ISO relatively high. So when you're zone focusing, shooting at ISO 1600, I think is generally a good tactic. One of the things that was very confusing to me when I started shooting street photography was this concept of zone focusing. So right now I have the aperture at f8. So it goes from 1.4 to f8. And you can see down here, if I'm pre-focused at 1.2 meter, you see these little numbers here, so 8. So everything from about 1 meter all the way up to about 1.3 meters is going to be in focus. And you can see the further away you focus, so let's say I'm pre-focused to about 3 meters at f8, these little lines down here indicate that everything from about 2.5 meters all the way up to about 4 meters is going to be in focus. And you can see the closer you focus, so if I'm pre-focused to about 0.8 meters, then your line of focus is only like 0.75 to about 0.9. Also, one thing to note is generally when you're shooting with the Leica rangefinder, not all of the lenses, but most of the lenses have this focusing tab. When the focusing tab is dead center, then you're about 1.2 meters. And rule of thumb is, you know what 1.2 meters is because it's about 2 arm lengths away. And generally, when you're shooting street photography, I recommend zone focusing. So you're essentially pre-focusing your lens to a certain distance. So generally, if you have your finger here in the center, if you're focusing 45 degrees to the left, you're about minimum focusing distance 0.7 meters. Or if you focus about 45 degrees to the right, then you're far distance about like 2 meters or so. So generally, the way I remember it is with this tab here in the center, that's medium distance, which is 1.2 meters. 45 degrees to the left is close distance, 0.7 meters. And 45 degrees to the right, it's about 2 meters. So generally, when you're shooting with rangefinders, what you want to achieve to do is the more you practice with the focusing, you don't even have to look down at your camera to focus and shoot. And you could even see, let's say you're shooting at f16, then you can see down here on the bottom, you have a lot more range of what's going to be in focus. So if you're pre-focused about 1.2 meters, then everything from roughly 1 meter to all the way to 1.5 meters is going to be focused. Or if you're pre-focused to about 2 meters, then at f16 everything from 1.5 meters all the way up to about 3 meters or so is going to be in focus. The important thing to know when you're shooting with a rangefinder or Leica or whatever is not to shoot everything always at 1.4 wide open. That's the common mistake a lot of photographers make, because it's going to take you, if you're shooting at 1.4 and you're looking through, if you're looking through the viewfinder, it's going to take you forever to just try to focus the rangefinder patch perfectly. What's much easier to do is pre-focus the lens to about f8 or even f11 or f16 and quickly pre-focus, then bring up the camera and then click the shutter button to make the photograph very quickly. And yeah, a quick review of the Leica M240. Personally, you know, I think the M240, the Leica M, the older model, it's a pretty good camera. I am a bigger fan of the Leica M9. I think the reason I don't like the M240, too many buttons here on the side. I don't think they're really necessary. Just aesthetically, I don't think you really need a movie button here. It's a little bit thicker and fatter, which is a little bit not as aesthetically nice. Even the M9, I think I just prefer the layout and also, you know, had fewer buttons. The new M10 is a lot simpler. And yeah, so essentially when you're shooting with a rangefinder, the basic tips are don't shoot wide open, don't shoot at 1.4, try to stick at around f8, f16. I'd recommend keeping the shutter speed to about aperture priority mode, so it automatically chooses aperture. And with the ISO, in order for you to have a faster shutter speed, keep it around ISO 1600, or don't be afraid to crank it up to ISO 3200. Yeah, so that's just a basic tip to zone focusing and how to focus with a rangefinder like an M camera. And hopefully I'll do some more videos to explain more of, you know, how to shoot with a Leica or a rangefinder and, you know, what's the big deal about it. Alright, so thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace out.